presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller, a jam-packed show for you here on January the 10th. Kyle Haberman from Perham Boys Basketball will join the conversation with their own Kevin Kochman as the Perham basketball team is hosting the Breakdown basketball tournament this weekend. Also, Andrew Sundberg from Goodridge Grygla Boys Basketball will be joining the conversation with our own James Cardarelli. Then after the break, we'll hear from three girls basketball coaches. First up, the Hatton-Northwood Thunder girls basketball head coach Tony Evenstad, as Hatton-Northwood is off to a nice start of their season so far. Bill Gottenborg for the Hawley Nuggets girls basketball will be joining the program, and we'll hear from Sam Brandt from Kindred as they're off to a 7-3 start on the season as well. Then we'll take a break and go onto the ice with West Fargo boys hockey coach Jason Triplett, and our senior spotlight this week is with Ada-Borup-West senior, that is Cameron Spaeth. Then we'll round out the show with Jim Birkemeyer interviewing myself, Chase Miller, as I was nominated as a Sportscaster of the Year with Nick Holberg in North Dakota from the PSP Network. So we'll talk that and more upcoming here on our Coaches Show, but let's dive into it. We'll hear from Andrew Sundberg, hear from Goodridge Grygla in a moment, but here's our one-on-one conversation with Kevin Kochman talking with Kyle Haberman on Perham Boys Basketball.
Great opportunity to bring in on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Kyle Haberman, first-year head coach at the Perham Yellow Jackets boys basketball program. And Kyle, I know that we go back to your time at Lake Park Audubon and harken the days of your Class B experience at Kindred High School. A proud Viking you are still. But in year one for Perham, I know a dream type of coaching position that you were very excited to sign on in July, and you're working with a group of guys that are eager and willing to get to the gym each day. What more can you ask for?
No, I mean, it's been a dream of mine for a long time. I've just kind of growing up, I'm from Kindred, but my parents have had a place in Otter Tail. So I've kind of grown up around Perham, and it just always was a position that I thought was a good fit for me. And I just love the community and what raising a family here means, just in the aspiration, just every single person here is aspirational. And so, that's always been a major goal of mine, is to raise my family here. And then if any opportunity basketball wise came about, then I would jump at it as well. So it's a dream come true. Certainly I wish it would have been, maybe May 31st or May 1st over, the end of July, but we're kind of seeing some of that come out now, but it's going to be a long journey, and I'm incredibly humbled to have the position.
I know the Yellow Jackets, if you look at the wins and losses right now, you'd say, well, that's a little different than what it's been in the last few years. But the guys are learning through this. And with that, your schedule is a very difficult schedule, and it's fun to look at it personally because you are challenged week in, week out with the non-conference, and you play in the Heart of Lakes Conference, which is a challenge every night.
Yeah, I mean, and we knew that going in, and we talked about it. We talk about, for our schedule is going to really sharpen the sword for March, right? When you got Delano's a top couple team in 3A, then you got Esco, who's rated 4. Central Cass hasn't lost, since 2021, it feels like. And so we knew that going in. At the same time, it's still not what we expected. I thought, I expected us to be a little bit farther along right now, but we're just learning. We got 5 new guys that are learning at the varsity level. I mean, we graduated everybody last year. So it's just, these guys had a few minutes, and then we're putting in a new philosophy, new everything. I mean, and so we've been fortunate that Coach Dirk Heising's been able to try to keep us on the same page defensively as what we've done in the past. But these are different guys, and so with different strengths and different weaknesses. So we know where we're at. We know that we're not far off. I mean, we've led in, we've led at DL in the second half by 12. We've led against Barnesville the other night with 3 minutes left. We've led in the second half against TGF and against Hawley. We just haven't made those basketball plays, and we've had 2-3 minute stretches where we just don't play good basketball. And that more than probably anybody in the HOL. If you have 3-4 minutes of bad basketball, you're not going to win. And so this year in particular, every single team is so close that it really does come down to those 4 or 5 basketball plays, and then guys stepping up. And we've been unfortunate where guys like Stoa goes for 34, Bulgarin, Gannon goes for 36 against us. We feel like we're defending them the exact same way as other teams are defending. It's just theirs are banking in or they're getting a rebound, and we haven't got a lot of those basketball plays either. It seems like right now the basketball gods are kind of against us, but we all know that those start to average out towards the end of the season.
They do, and building towards March is always the goal. Your stretch of basketball upcoming. I know we just come off. We were just joking about it, but at the same time, you probably would have. I don't know. Maybe would have enjoyed going against Esko if Koi Persic was playing. He goes and plays in the All American, football bowl and wins the MVP. At the same time, the Esko Eskimos are a pretty solid ball club on the east side of the state.
Yeah, I mean, they're different. They're kind of the opposite of what we do. We really like in the man. We don't like lunging. We like trying to make sure that if you're going to score, it's going to be off of something that you've kind of created or pulled up in front of our face. Where they kind of just go out and give you space and try to create havoc and get deflections, and then they just they got a bunch of guys that have been playing for a long time, and so they were able to kind of really we get down there in a snowstorm and then. They kind of snowstormed us right away. So it was like, we were down 15 early and kind of shocked. And we kind of sat back and we're still kind of in that evaluation process. So we're playing like 9 guys right now and trying to figure out kind of what blend of that 9 works together. And that's just not a great way to go about it. But we're still trying to figure these guys out. Most of them haven't had any varsity experience. And then also trying to figure out our system. And then when you go against somebody like Esko, who has their system down perfectly and runs their exact sets and knows each other back and forth, they're a tough matchup. But other than that game, we've really played, pretty well. Just like I said, those couple minutes per game where we don't, and that's what we need to cure.
Well, I know that you're working on it, and you're not you like who you got, right? It's just a matter of the time, and guys also got to remember too, I think at times that you're playing for the jersey. You got this jersey and you got a really respectable program, and they're working out there trying to perform too, which I'm sure there's a lot of aspirations, like you said. So it's just a matter of that coming to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're losing in Perham, people aren't happy, whether that's the community or particularly ourselves. But we know what this process is going to look like. We know we preached it over and over again. Listening to parents right now is not a good idea. Listening to anybody's surroundings is not a good idea. We know kind of what we have. At the same time, we have some dudes. It's just our flaws. Things that you do well that worked well as juniors or as a JV player. Once you get to the teams we're playing, if you have a weakness or you're a scout player, as Coach Ohm likes to say, if you're a scout guy where there's something glaring on your scout that says they can't do this, well, then that's going to be accented when you're playing in a varsity game. And that's really kind of where we're at right now. And it's not necessarily like a fatal flaw. It's just something that if you're not skilled at it, they're going to take advantage of that. And that's whether that's what we're doing as a whole or us as individuals. That's really what's happening right now. But it's a learning process. It's a learning process for myself and our coaching staff as well as each guy. And so as long as we keep the ship going, because the guys are staying positive, doesn't mean you're not, when you're 2-8, a lot of things take place. But for the most part, we've stayed positive. And if we can understand that our section is completely wide open, the conference is wide open, we just need to start finding a way to be on the opposite end of that 4 or 5 minute run, then everything's great again. But when you're 2-8, it just either goes back up and finds a way, or it just kind of gets to let's get to baseball season. And these guys I know aren't the latter. So we just got to find a way to get some W's.
Well, over your shoulder it says keep moving forward. So I'll hearken the motivational poster too. Breckenridge, and then you're hosting the breakdown on Saturday, which I know we're excited about. Some really good basketball from our area and from the region, and another great opportunity to showcase at the Hive, which you get plenty of opportunity to do so. But it's fantastic opportunity for basketball fans coming Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you could pay $12 and sit all day, and it's just one good game after another, and that's why we like hosting them. We get some teams that are from around the area, and we get teams from all over the place, whether it's Fargo or it's Cass Lake Bino, who we're playing. It's just a cool atmosphere, and so for us, we got Breckenridge on Thursday, who's much improved, and they're playing pretty good right now. They're getting the Kunkel kid back, which completely changes what they do. And they become incredibly athletic. And then we got Cass Lake. Cass Lake's got a bunch of games this week. If, I don't know where Lee's at, but, without him, they're not, there's a different team with them, and they're top couple team in the state. But, watching their film, they pose a lot of problems for us because they play kind of the opposite we do. And that's been an issue for us, is those teams that really play free and relaxed and just go and push tempo. We haven't been able to score enough points to match that. So we haven't been defending all that horribly, but when you just, release and you kick tempo and push forward, we got to find a way to score, 10 more points, and we need to find a way to, slow people down by 6. And then we're in great shape, but it's going to be a fantastic day of basketball.
Looking forward to it. I know we're planning to come down with some of this your live event stuff to come and take a peek and watch some of the ball and be a part of it too, and bring the action back to those who can't be there. Should be a lot of fun. But like I say, basketball is a lot of fun. And now we're entering January, which means it's February right around the corner, and then it's March, where this is the time when your guys, the efforts are going to start to shine. You sure hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I think for everybody now, you're starting to try to figure out kind of what you got. And I think, anytime you start this kind of mid-January stretch, the main thing you want as a squad is an identity. If you look like at our girls team, they have a clear identity of who they are. And that makes it easy for Coach Super to push. They know what they want to do. They want to go inside out with Willow. And then if they don't get it, they got shooters all over the place, or attack player like Grismer. For us, we just don't really know, kind of who we are quite yet. And we got about a week or so before, I'll be uncomfortable if we don't have an identity. I think I know where we're at. But, these next 2 games will really show, hey, do we have what we think? And if not, maybe we have to make some adjustments. But I'm happy where we're at. It's just a matter of us all kind of coming together as a staff and a team and building it together. And it's going to be fun.
This has been therapeutic for me. You and I chatted on a weekly basis for years, and to get this opportunity has been very therapeutic for me, Coach, and I appreciate it. I'm grateful for your time and willingness to join us on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, and look forward to many more chats in the future, and certainly Saturday. Looking forward to see you down there at the Hive.
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things that I think people maybe take it for granted in that area is what you guys provide. I mean, just the amount of coverage that kids get, the interviews, individual interviews with kids, and just how much you guys spotlight players and programs is incredible in that area. It just doesn't exist, especially at a small level like 1A. So we have great coverage around here as well. But I think when I talk about your live event and what you guys provide out there, it's amazing. So once again, it's great to talk to you and be back with it, and it'll be exciting to see you guys. But it's really fun when you got a great day of basketball.
Always. Kyle Haberman, head coach, Perham Yellow Jackets boys basketball coach. Thanks for the time. We'll chat again.
Sounds good. Thanks for the coverage.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
As our Your Live Event Coaches Show continues here on YouTube, I'm joined by Goodridge Grygla head coach Andrew Sundberg. And Coach, you guys are really rolling right now. You started off with 2 losses, but you won 7 straight. What changed for you guys, and how do you just keep this momentum going here?
Well, I think I've talked to you before. We started with 2 top-notch teams, and our kids were just coming off of a state run in football. And I think we were a little bit beat up, and mentally, we weren't ready for those kind of challenges with those teams. And I'm definitely not taking away anything from those 2 teams. They played really well that night. But I've seen improvement this last month. You can see we're kind of getting our legs back. And the guys are really starting to play well, and we need to keep doing it because we got a tough slate in front of us here.
Yeah, you mentioned that state football playoff run. A lot of key players on the basketball team also were a part of that run. So you kind of got them in to the basketball gym later than expected and banged up. But where I'm going with this is from that state playoff run, the confidence of your guys is riding high. Have you seen that transferred over to the basketball court, the camaraderie that they had for football and now into basketball?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. This group, we're a very senior heavy team this year. And this group of kids coming all the way through, the confidence has never been an issue with this group. They believe in themselves. Like you said, camaraderie, you could really see that in football this year. And I believe we're seeing it on the court now too. They're a pretty tight-knit group.
You got one of the best 1-2 punches in the area with Jones and Ricklock. The game that I saw
a few weeks ago before break, Grygla had 43 points, I think 41 or 43, something. He cracked 40.
Yep.
When you have that 1-2 punch as a coach, how much confidence does that bring you that any given night either Jones or Blake could really just take it to the next level for you?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a good spot to go into games with when you have two guys that are averaging over 25 a game. I mean, they're tough to guard, and it's with Lewis, it's hard to keep the ball out of his hands because he's a point guard. So he has the ball in his hands a lot, and Blake can score at all three levels. I mean, he's a really tough guy. Not many teams have a good matchup for him with how layered his game is, I guess I would say. It is a really good spot to start. When we play these good teams, though, you know, like we need big games from both of those, and we need other guys chipping in. You know, we don't need other guys scoring 25, but we need a couple more getting close to double figures, because we're not going to hold these really top teams in the area to 50, 60 points. We're going to need to have, you know, our more depth in our scoring.
How have you seen those two specifically? And then we'll get into the role players after. How have you seen Jones and Grygla kind of grow together and on the court together? How have you seen that dynamic continue to just flourish throughout the years?
Well, those two have been playing. They played a lot of basketball at this level. I mean, Lewis has been starting since the beginning of his freshman year, and Blake started playing a lot during his freshman year also. And they're both started every year since then. They play well with each other. Sometimes we need them to get to trust the other three guys on the floor a little bit more, and I think that's been happening in the last month. Other guys have been stepping up. But yeah, it's like you said, when you have two guys like that, it's a good feeling as a coach.
And then the role players have really bought into their roles around Jones and Grygla, whether it's a Carson Robishko, who we've just seen since I've been here. I've seen his confidence and just his game just continue to grow and flourish. And then like a Spencer Cone. How important is it to have those role players buy in to what you guys are doing and their specific roles on the team?
I mean, it's everything for our team, because the good teams, they're going to throw a lot of attention at those first two guys, and other guys are going to have to step up. Like, for instance, last week we played KCC and we beat them by 2, and they did a really good job on Lewis, and they held him down to 13 points and made it really tough for him. And we needed other guys to step up. Blake had a very good game that game, but other guys had to chip in. And like you said, just buying into your roles is so important. Carson gets the other team's best guard every game, and he relishes that role. And for him, like, I think his mindset is, if that guy scores 20, averages 20, I hold him to 10, I just scored 10 points. I mean, that's kind of where, and as a coach, you love a kid like that. Spencer made 2 huge free throws at the end of a game right before Christmas that iced the game. I mean, so their roles are important, but they need to, we always say everyone's not going to have the same role, but everyone's role is equally important.
Talked about Carson guarding the other team's best players, and in today's age in basketball, you know, it's all about the offense. It's all about the 3-point shot. How nice is it for you to have a player like Carson who, you know, he wants to score and he wants to contribute offensively, but he really locks into that defensive role for you, where you said, like, if he holds the 20-point score to 10, he looks at it as a win for himself and points on the board for himself. How awesome is it to kind of coach a kid like that?
It is awesome. I mean, that may be hard to find in this day and age, a kid that kind of has that mentality, and he loves it. And there's no shortage of guards around here that are really, really good players. I mean, there's a lot of good teams around here this year. So his job is very important doing that. And one thing I've noticed with him is he's kind of had this role for 2.5 years now. And he's gotten better about keeping himself out of foul trouble, but he's just kind of a pest. I mean, he's in your face, and it kind of wears on guys mentally when a guy does that for 36 minutes. You know, some guys do it for 2 minutes and they get tired, and he's different, man. He gets into you and he just loves it for the whole game.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that you hate to play against, but if he's on your team, you absolutely love it. Do you see him kind of get in underneath the other opponent's skins a little bit with just his defensive effort?
And the funny thing is, he does that to Lewis in practice, which makes Lewis better and makes him better too. If guarding Lewis every day is going to do nothing but make you better defensively, I would think. So I mean, yeah, it's fun to see, not just in games, but I get to see in practice every night too.
And then on this 7-game win streak that you guys are on, a lot of close games that you were able to win. You beat Stephen Argyle by 4 points, the KCC game, a 2-point game, and then on Friday, a 7-point win over a tough Sacred Heart team. What does that just say about your guys' mental fortitude to really sneak out some tough wins against some good opponents here?
Yeah, definitely. That Sacred Heart game was huge for us. I mean, they've ended our season the last 2 years at the Ralph, and they're still a top-notch team. And like getting back to what you said about the close games go, like I said before, this group doesn't lack in confidence. Sacred Heart, we had them by 14 in the second half, and they got it down to 1 with like 2.5 minutes left. And like good teams do, they make runs, right? So, but the kids locked in, and it's like, we can't do anything about that, but these next 2.5 minutes in front of us are under our control, and they closed the game out, which I was super proud of them for. But like Kitson and Stephen Argyle, those are teams that have, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 wins, and they are tough. I mean, there's not many easy nights on our schedule this year. Even the teams that maybe people look at and say, oh, they're not as good, they are good. I mean, and so you got to come ready to play every night.
And then you guys got a tough one again tonight against the Northern Freeze. They're an 8-win team. You're going to go on the road at Roseau, at Winnie-Mac, and Roseau's got some talent over there as well this year. So how do you guys just keep it rolling? And let's just start with tonight.
Well, it's kind of coach speak, but it's one game at a time type deal. You got to lock in on the Freeze. I know they're going to come ready to play tonight against us, so we got to be mentally prepared as well. They've done nothing but beat us down the last 2 years. I mean, they've done a really good job against us. I don't know if that's a matchup thing or whatever, but they're very confident when they play the Chargers. So they are a tough team to guard. They got 5 guys on the floor that can score at all times. They're very they got a lot of depth. They defend about as well as any team around this area. So, and Coach Spildy does a really good job with them. They're always well coached and ready to go. So tonight's going to be tough. And like you said, our next 2 games after this are, they don't get any easier. I mean, so yeah, we're locking in on the Freeze tonight and then on to Roseau after that.
And then lastly, this is my 3rd year paying attention to you guys and covering you guys, doing some of your games. And then obviously the state football run that we just had, you were a part of that coaching staff. Something that I really notice about your guys and just your community is how prideful you guys are and how prideful those kids are to put Chargers on their chest and go and play in front of everybody. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I mean, it is something as a coach and as a member of our community, Goodridge and Grygla, it's something you're really proud of. I mean, the kids are proud to be where we're from. And it's, I've talked to you before, we're kind of the smallest school, smallest classes. And I think the kids really buy into that underdog mentality, and they're really proud of where we're from, and our communities support us and our schools support us so much. And, so we're really fortunate to work where we're at and to be on the team where we are. And it's cool that, somebody like you who does our games notices that.
Yeah, it's evident. Is that something that you talk about? Do you preach that at all about playing with pride and playing with pride with that Chargers on their uniform?
Definitely, especially like me and Brady, we're he's my assistant now, but we're the junior high coaches for football and then help out. And when they're younger, it's kind of something you stress to them. So as they come through the programs, hopefully that pride and that mentality shows in how we play and how we work as a team together.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today here on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, and hope you guys keep it rolling. I'll be keeping a close eye on you, hopefully getting out to do some of your games here, and let's keep it rolling against the Northern Freeze tonight.
Hey, appreciate you having me on, James, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsborough location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
As we come back to the conversation, Bill Gottenborg and Sam Brandt will be joining us here in a moment. But let's get to our conversation as James Mortensen an opportunity to sit down with Tony Evenstad here of the Hatton-Northwood girls basketball team.
On your live event coaches show this evening, we are talking with Tony Evenstad, the head coach of the Hatton-Northwood Thunder girls basketball team. Tony, thanks for the time, and your team's off to a great start this season.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's been a good start to the season so far. It's been pretty fun. We've had some kind of a little bit of games go both ways. We've won a couple pretty easily, and then we've had the other side of it, which those aren't as fun. And then we've had some close ones. So we've got a little taste of a little bit of everything this year so far. So that's going to help the girls throughout the season continue to grow and build on those experiences.
Of course, we've been talking about it all year long, making the transition from the old former Class B to the new Class B, and your team, I feel like, has been handling it pretty well. You're 6-1 against current now Class B schools. Your thoughts on the change?
It hasn't really shown too much yet for us. We still have played a couple Class A schools that we had been playing in the past. So keeping them on our schedule last year when we knew the change happened was good, just because we knew that the competition level between those teams and us was hopefully going to be good, and to keep playing those stronger schools, which is fun. And then the big thing will be the district tournament, getting that back, getting the girls into that atmosphere, the tournament atmosphere of that. Then throughout that, hopefully the goal is make it then to the regional tournament and then experience that, and hopefully just keep being able to play from there. So it hasn't really affected or felt like it's affected us too much yet, playing wise, since we've been playing A and B teams. So it's yeah, as of now, once I think district starts, or we start counting our district points and looking at those a little more, that'll be a little more evident of the change. And okay, this game didn't matter so much, but this one does moving forward.
And Tony, of course, when we talk about the new schedule, you mentioned that you have been playing teams that you're used to playing, like Grafton and Thompson. Games didn't quite go your way, but still a great opportunity for your ladies to learn something from that. A great opportunity for your ladies to learn something from other teams throughout the state you normally wouldn't play. Teams probably like Bishop Ryan and Velva, and other teams on the schedule. Benson County, you get in your region a quality opponent. Your thoughts on getting some new teams on the schedule?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was, like you mentioned, the Grafton and Thompson, they're the two of the Class A teams we've played so far. We've been playing them. They've been in our region. So we were kind of aware of what their programs do. And they've been two very successful programs since I've been coaching. So it's, you want to play those teams, those high caliber teams, to help improve and, like you said, see what we can work on. But then it was good. We got to go out to Minot at the beginning of this year and played some different teams out there. Minot Bishop Ryan, got some things from them, and then the Velva game as well. Seeing two different teams that we don't know much about, haven't played before, was fun to see that. And then it's kind of fun to follow them throughout the year to see how they've been doing, and just kind of moving forward with those things.
And Tony, as we look ahead, kind of in the halfway point of the schedule, getting to the meat of the region, of course, teams, as we mentioned, like Benson County, Nelson County, Griggs, Midkota, Warwick, and of course, you've got the Mayport CG Lady Patriots, who you still have yet to face. They seem to be pretty unstoppable right now. Your thoughts on the schedule the rest of the way?
Yeah, we have Benson County here tomorrow. Then we play another region. We play Park River. It's a makeup game on Saturday from one earlier where we had to reschedule because of weather. Yeah, then like you said, kind of getting into the meat of the schedule. So I look at our schedule in my planner, and between our boys and girls games throughout January, every Tuesday and Thursday there's a game. So you got yeah, there's weeks we have 3 games, so we got to be ready for them. And like we always say, take from the game we just played, take the good, continue to work on that and build, and then take things that weren't as good and try to fix them, or why didn't they work, and then correct those moving forward. So yeah, and each team is going to give us their best, and that's what we want. We want to play everybody when they're at their best, get their best looks, because that's just going to help us in the tournament time at the end of the season.
You mentioned taking a look at the good and the not as good from the games and trying to improve on that and try to capitalize on that. Let's start with the good. Through the first 9 games of the year, from the beginning weeks of practice to now, what has improved and what has gotten better for your ladies?
Offensively, our getting to the basket has gotten better from a few of our players. Like their driving, their penetration to the basket has been good. There's our scoring inside has gotten a little bit better just progressively throughout the year, which is good to see. And then our effort on the defensive side has been this is kind of one of both. Like at times we need a little bit more, but that is getting less, and the effort itself is getting as a whole better and better throughout. So that's good to see that. And our free throws have been pretty good this year too, which is always good to have, especially in those big games, close games. Free throws are going to make the difference. And then another pretty good thing is our rebounding. We do a pretty good job rebounding as a team. There's going to be times, as most coaches would probably agree, it's never perfect. It's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be something a coach can nitpick on to improve and try to get the team to do a little bit better here and there. But yeah, our rebounding has been pretty well so far too.
And what are some of the things that your team's going to need to improve on and build on before you get to those districts and hopefully region tournaments?
That team defense, we got to keep building on that. Keep play it as 5. We need those 5 girls working together to stop the ball. And then the rotations on our defense. Just if somebody gets beat off the dribble, we have to rotate over to help and then drop the next girl. So we got to continue to see that, acknowledge that right away, and then have that quick feet, anticipate the movement of those teams, and then continue to move there. Then our outside shooting, our 3-point shooting, we would like to see that get a little bit better, because that's going to help open up the inside game for us. If we can start knocking down our outside shots, it's just going to build confidence for the girls on the outside making those shots. And then teams will have to honor those shots a little bit more, step out. Then that'll give our post players a little bit more room to work inside.
Tony, anything else you want to mention to our viewers here on your live event coaches show?
No, not that I can think of.
That's the head coach of the Hatton-Northwood girls basketball team, also the athletic director up at Northwood, Tony Evenstad, joining us. Tony, thanks for the time. Best of luck. We look forward to seeing how your ladies do the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
An opportunity to visit with the head coach of the Hawley Nugget girls basketball team, Bill Gottenborg, here today on R&J Sports, and of course your liveevent.com coaches show, as well as we bring in Coach Gottenborg and Bill as we chat. Nugget girls are riding a little bit of a streak. You got 4 in a row here now, coming in off of the Christmas break, and girls had to that point kind of just been up and down a little bit, and then you went to St. Cloud, and we had chatted right before that, the opportunity to play a couple of games over the break, do some team bonding, things of that nature, and it seemed to be what the doctor ordered. You got a couple of wins against some solid programs in St. Cloud.
Before Christmas, we had, some good competition there.
with Pelican and Perham, they're both ranked in the top 10 in state. And then Fergus Falls and East Grand Forks. And, we could have beat Fergus Falls, and we could have also, I think, on a given night, could have beaten East Grand Forks. So I thought we learned some things from those games. And, these were some games that, we could go one way or the other. And things have gone well in terms of the W's, and the kids are getting confidence now. And now we need that confidence too, because we'll be hitting the road again next week, going to Breckenridge and Barnesville, and then coming home here with Pelican Rapids. So some good competition ahead next week.
No doubt. Great contests, some real thick part of your schedule, but getting wins over Piers, Belgrade, Brute, and El Rosa set you up for this week. Kicking off right away, a road trip continued. You went from St. Cloud to then Thief River Falls and got on the road to take on the Prowlers. And never an easy play in the Brick House, ever easy place to play in the Brick House there in Thief River Falls. I know that their numbers are a little bit down this year, but nonetheless, still got to protect home court there. And your girls went on the road and found a way to make it 3 in a row here on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it was. The kids had 4 days off for the Christmas break. Then we came back and practiced on Wednesday and Thursday of the Christmas, right after Christmas. And then we went on, played on Friday and Saturday, and then came back on, for Sunday we had off. But then right away, then on Tuesday, first day back from school, we had to go to Thief River and got home late. And, I was kind of concerned that, would the girls have gas in their tank, after going to East Grand or going to St. Cloud and staying overnight. And they sure seemed to come ready to play and came out strong. So Thief River, haven't been healthy most of the year, and they were back with their post player that night, and she played real hard, and it was a physical game. And the girls, ended up, playing real good defense. Offensively, Thief River gave us some problems there, but we did come out with a nice win over Thief River Falls, not an easy place to go. And then we had a day off, and then we go to DGF. And then I was really concerned, how the kids mentally, how they're going to be. And they really came out strong. I thought defensively, we didn't quite have our quickness that we've had overall, just because I think just, getting wore down a little bit. But they found a way, to weather the storm. We couldn't put DGF away. We come out strong, got up there at halftime by double digits, and they came back, got it within a hoop there, 2-point lead for us. And that happened at Wadena too, where they got within, Wadena got it within a couple there at half, after the half. And we were able to, get the key basket, get the key stop. Kids seem to be stepping up when they need to. Making the big bucket or getting the big stop when they need to, or the strong rebound. And so, I'm real proud of what they've done here, and we're improving. We've got a lot of work yet to do. But the big thing is we're having fun and playing as a team as we move along here.
Which is very important, and to get that doubleheader type game too. You don't get many doubleheaders on the schedule anymore. You remember back to days when that was a pretty common thing. It seems like this DGF matchup that you had over doubleheaders, about one of the only doubleheaders you get on the schedule each year now.
Well, we'll play them home doubleheader. Coach Lofgren was telling me today that next year he talked to our athletic director and said we're going to have 8 doubleheaders next year. Sounds like on Fridays in the conference there'll be doubleheaders.
Okay,
so that'll be different. Coach Lofgren doesn't like those very much. He kind of likes that traditional deal because it gets to be a long night. But yeah, if that's what's best for the kids in the conference, then we'll be ready for them. I don't mind them that much. And kids usually get a nice crowd, and then they can watch the boys. So many times we play the same night and we don't get to see each other play. And so that's a nice way to kind of support one another when we do play the same night.
Agreed. Yeah, I think so too. There's some schools that's a real regular occurrence on the schedule. It sounds like next year in the HOL, it's going to be, like you mentioned, coming back. You talk about your next 3 on the schedule. Breckenridge Tuesday night on the 9th, and you've got a road trip to Barnesville on the 12th, and then you've got Pelican Rapids at your place on the 18th. This early mid-January stretch of games. Going to be some real challenges for the Nugget girls. So what do you think it's going to take here to keep things rolling? You got 4 in a row now. You want to extend that. You've got some great competition in front of you. So what do the girls need to keep doing?
Oh yeah, going to Breckenridge on Tuesday is not always that easy to do, to play well there, but we did get a W there last year. Looking at their Breckenridge team, they seem to really want to go to the basket strong and shoot the 3-pointer, play good solid man-to-man, and mix in some different full court presses. So what we're going to need to do there is we probably aren't going to get as many transition baskets from steals, which we've been doing lately here, because I think they'll probably handle the ball a little better. So we're going to have to execute better in half court. And, and then we're going to have to continue to improve our rebounding and contesting their outside shots. And then the transition defense against all three of these next opponents is huge, because all three teams have athletes who can really take the ball from coast to coast.
It'll be some good challenges and some good matchups, no doubt about it. And like you say, it's about not only just the wins and the experiences, but yeah, a lot of the things that they do on and off the floor, how they become better players, become better students, become better kids. It's all part of the game, and I know you're enjoying this season. It's fun to see some success too when they're having the fun.
Yeah, we've been trying to really work on our culture, and have a strong culture and continue to hard work on that. Right now, we're doing a deal where each kid got a stick from, I was out and pruned my apple trees there, and they got a stick, and the words like, we need to stick together as a team. And then the sticks, were laid out, and there's the word humility, or the word, believe. And they were paired up. Then there was two of each stick, and then they paired up, they grabbed their sticks there, and they got a partner, and then they present to the team about what that would relate to the team, like gratitude, for example, or humility, and how that a strong team that sticks together would incorporate that into their team. So, we're trying to do little things like that to kind of, make sure we're sticking together as a team, and trying to, just do what's most important in the world, become better people. And then along the way, we have a goal to get a few W's along the way, and that's always fun too. But yeah, I've been real happy with their effort and their teamwork, and they seem to really enjoy being with one another there and care about one another and look to serve and one another too. So it's a fun group of girls, good senior leadership there with 6 seniors. We had an injury to one of our seniors, Julie Strom, who was a backup point guard there, backup perimeter player. And she tore her ACL in practice there right after the holidays. And so we feel bad about that. She's, making plans for surgery and everything, still comes to our games and practices. And so our heart goes out to her, to have some empathy for that, because, you got to, when you put yourself in her place there, that's tough, senior not getting to play anymore now, and have to go through surgery and rehab and all that. And so we don't always understand why all those things happen. And so, but we wish her the best in that. So.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks for sharing. Thanks for the time as always. Congrats on getting this thing rolling right now with 4 in a row. We'll see if the Nugget girls can keep things going. Likewise, great competition upcoming this week, as we talked about here. In the next 3 games should be really entertaining. Bill, thank you for the time. Good luck, and we'll look forward to seeing you around and getting some more conversations as the season goes on. Good luck.
Well, it's an honor to be on your show here. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's a lot of glad we could get you on. This is, it's a special time. And you brought up the apple trees, and I was going to say, maybe we need to start talking, is this a good time to be pruning? I don't know. It's, you just never know, right?
Well, they say, after the growing season, and I don't think they're growing now, maybe. But
Yeah.
It's kind of nice weather, because usually you got to do that before the, when there's snow on the ground. And now you can just go out there and, clip away at them. So
it works. Yeah. Take advantage when we get the opportunity. It's all part of the deal. That's Bill Gottenborg. He's the head coach of Hawley Nugget girls basketball. It's the Coach's Corner, and our conversations here today with R&J Sports.
As we continue on our Coaches Show, and joining us now, head coach for the girls basketball team from Kindred, that is Sam Brandt, as they're off to a 7-3 start on the season with the win over Oak Grove, and it gets a little busier for them as they travel to Lisbon on Thursday, then make their way to Devil's Lake for a pair of games against Western competition in terms of rugby and Turtle Mountain upcoming over the weekend. Sam, you're kind of at the midway point of the season. I've been asking a ton of coaches, once you kind of get to that game 10 at game 11, just what's a trait or a characteristic that you enjoyed most about this team this season, being in this middle division here in girls basketball?
I'm really enjoying the competition. I'm really enjoying knowing that they got to come and bring their A game and have that mindset that they need to. You got to show up every game. These kids are driven and love to compete, playing really well with each other. It's been a really fun start of the year.
Going down to Lisbon, we'll have that game for you on your live event coming up on Thursday. Then again, Friday, Saturday, add in the travel miles a little bit for you, Sam. But this also kind of feels like a tournament style, right? Where you would get a handful of games in a couple of days. So what do you hope to see from your girls coming up in these games, where one of them is a Division A Region 1 contest and the other kind of being non-divisional play for you?
Every year I don't shy away from what I want my schedule to look like. I want to be ready for the regional tournament. I want to be ready for games in March. We wanted to find the best competition, and I really feel like traveling and eating up those miles to find teams that want to play you is really, really important. Plus the girls will never turn down a night in a hotel. And for us to play back to back is definitely something that I feel is going to benefit us into the end of the season, and being able to get up without maybe 30 minutes of prep or whatever. So we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, and it's going to challenge us, and I hope it's just going to play a part in our journey towards success in the end of the season here.
You mentioned the competition, and it's the one thing I've been talking with media members. We've been talking about who's good, who's maybe bringing a ton of girls back because it's B, it's former A now in that middle division, where the teams are going to lie a little bit here, Sam. When you get to go up against those former A schools like the Wahpetons or the Valley Cities of the world, what is something that's different, or maybe something that's similar from a coaching style compared to going up against a Weimar Lidgewood or an Enderlin, that was in your region in Division B girls basketball in prior years here, Sam?
With the change in division, we didn't all know what it was going to look like, and it definitely has a different feel. I know, talking with the Valley City coach, he's excited about the opportunity, and I know Wahpeton is as well. I don't shy away from competition, and these guys are in the right division. It's definitely making the basketball in our division really at a high standard. So it's been fun to see new teams. We do get the opportunity to see around the summer, so it's not brand new, but it'll definitely be something different for us to go through everybody twice and seeing some different teams. So I think it's been a good change. I know the quality of basketball has been different for everybody across the state, and it's kind of fun to see how it's going to play out this year for it being its first year.
Couple seniors for your team here, Sam, and Peyton Getty, Avery Bartels. Just kind of what have they brought to the team, brought to the floor, brought to practice, so to speak, being those senior leaders here this season?
I have some great senior leaders. These kids that just are film junkies. They are in everyone's face celebrating. They are the ones that are connecting with their teammates most, and that might just be with touches or communication or, just getting buckets at tough times. And coming in new as a senior, but knowing what you want, sometimes it can be hard for a teenage girl to, talk with your friends and ask them and demand for things, but also have a great time. And these kids have found the balance. The first ones to communicate, the first ones to smile, first ones to celebrate and hold themselves accountable. So it's been great to see everyone, jumping in and jumping on the train with these guys, as far as like they have a standard for what they want this year, and it's going to be good.
Going up against Oak Grove last night, Sam, I guess from a parents' night perspective, what did you like? That doubleheader. I think you maybe have more doubleheaders on your schedule than maybe what you had prior a little bit, particularly when it comes to those regional matchups a little bit here on the schedule. But what did you like from your squad last night hosting the Grovers?
We came out and laid the hammer in the first quarter. Every coach wants that. We came out way ahead in going into halftime, and I knew that's exactly what we wanted for a little bit of some validation, after playing Thompson last Saturday. So as long as we come out and play the game we want to play and control the things we control, I know we're going to play the way we are happy and proud to play. So, you always wonder with the extra distraction and different things going on and all the parents, and we have 9 doubleheaders on the schedule this year in between, hosting a few and then, going away for a few. So I know we really enjoy it. It brings a big crowd. We get to see the boys back to back. And, we have a couple families who have kids that play for both, and there's 20 games in January. So I know they appreciate 2 games in a night. So it was great to see them come out and play the game that they wanted to play last night.
I was going to kind of follow up on the double headers, right? Because your husband, Tim, he gets that a little bit in the EDC with West Fargo Cheyenne, but they also sometimes Cheyenne will be at home for the boys while the girls are at, as an example, Fargo North. So it kind of splits the fan base up a little bit. Before in Division B, you maybe had double headers, but it kind of was over the holiday break, hosting or traveling to Shiloh. You didn't really have a lot of regional doubleheaders. So as a coach, Sam, is there a lot more distractions? Is it kind of, hey, I get to play a little bit earlier in the day, so, I can kind of worry about my game and then just kind of enjoy the boys or get home if case there's stuff at home need to do? What do you look at it from a coach's perspective in terms of the doubleheaders?
I like it. I really do like it. It definitely brings a different feel. And I know the girls really enjoy like watching games before they get to play and then turning around and getting out of the locker room and watching games. So I really enjoy it. I like how much community and fan base it brings out. And I know my husband feels the same way about it. It's always fun when your crowd gets to see both boys and girls, and it's just that much louder. So it's definitely something I hope we keep on the schedule.
Sam, a couple more questions before I let you go here. From a standpoint in Division A basketball, not much really has changed outside of the foul rule, right? In terms of it's still quarters from Class B. You're still playing with a 35-second shot clock. Now that you've played about 10 games, have you noticed anything different with the fouls from previous years where it was that 7 for single, 10 for double bonus? Do you feel like it's cleaned up the game? Have you gone to the free throw line less or more? How has that kind of just worked itself out through 10 games so far here, Sam?
I don't know if it's really cleaned the game up much. I think if you have a foul prone team, you're still going to foul. I think it's definitely changed the mindset and some strategy when it comes down to whether you're behind late in the game or ahead late in the game. We had a game versus Valley City with less than 2 minutes left. It was a 2-point game, and to try to get the ball back because they get 2, it turned into a 7-point game. So I think it can definitely change, game ending situations quite drastically just because they get 2 instead of that one free throw shot. It just surprises me that it's been changed for protective reasons, but it's not changed across all divisions. I know AA is halves, but why aren't they shooting 2 at 7 then? So it's just interesting, the reasoning behind it and the fact that it's changed for 2 divisions, but not all 3.
Yeah, it's something new again for this 3-class system or 3-division system here in basketball. Final thing for you, Sam. If people haven't seen you on your live event, they haven't watched you in person yet this season, if someone comes out and watch Kindred's girls basketball at Devil's Lake over the weekend coming up against Rugby or Turtle Mountain, what do you hope that fans take away from seeing your squad play 4 quarters of basketball, whether win, lose, or draw? What do you want them to see and kind of take away going, this Kindred team is blank, Sam? What do you hope they take away?
This Kindred team is fast. This Kindred team is unselfish. They're fun to watch. And their connection vibrates off the floor. That's been our goal. And I hope that we can turn around and say by the end of the year, they're defensively sound. And we're working towards our goal every day.
Sam, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here this week and throughout the weekend.
Thanks, Chase.
Sam Brandt, head coach of the Kindred girls basketball team, will continue after this here on our Coaches Show.
Here's Trail District Health Unit Director Brenda Stallman with some holiday health tips.
We're looking at a lot of family and friends gathering, and with that comes more food and alcohol, and we want people to exercise moderation, of course, with those activities, and at the same time keep check with their mental health. Sometimes the added activities to our schedules and the kids' activities brings a little bit more stress to our life, so a reminder to pace yourselves and enjoy what the season has to offer.
Happy holidays from Brenda, Kelly, and Chris at Trail District Health Unit.
I'm Freya Engen. I'm confident during the match, and when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
I'm Lily Bell. I'm confident on the court, and when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
As we come back now, James Martin's had an opportunity to sit down with Jason Triplett of West Fargo boys hockey. Then we'll hear from Jake Birkemeyer, had a one-on-one conversation with Cameron Spaeth from Ada-Borup-West for a senior spotlight.
On the Your Live Event Coaches Show this evening, we are talking with the head coach of the West Fargo High boys hockey team, and Jason Triplett. And Jason, I know you got a busy schedule, so appreciate the time. Thanks for coming aboard. And as I mentioned before the interview, really impressed with what you've done with the program here in the first year.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, as we were talking before we got going here, yeah, this group is just a really competitive group. We've got some upperclassmen that don't want the young guys to show them off, and we got some young sophomores that want to come in and compete with those older guys. So yeah, it's a very competitive group from top to bottom. Like I was saying earlier, the practice and drills, every time we do something competitive or we do a little battle drill or something, it's always, hey, let's go one more time, or let me go one more time. So that's a kind of a common theme day to day in practice. So yes, very, very competitive group, which does bring a lot to this team.
You mentioned those sophomores. We'll talk about them a little bit and just a little bit later on in the interview. But let's start last night, a top 4 matchup, top 5 matchup with Fargo North. Didn't quite go in your favor. Kind of got behind after a first period where the Spartans led 4-0 and couldn't rally from that point on, at least enough to get the win. But your thoughts on that contest last night?
Yeah. Last night, you know what? Coach Klein up at North, he always brings a strong competitive team. They work hard. We know that. They get up and down the ice. They go hard. They're always working. They don't take shifts off. We came out a little slow in the first period, and like you said, we got behind right away. Kind of dug ourselves a little hole. And in the EDC, you can't do that. You give away a period like that, and it's tough to recover. Our 4 losses are against the top 4 teams in the EDC, Davies, Central, Red River, and now North. And it's all 4 of those games have come down to us just not showing up for a period. And like I said, when you do that, it's tough to get back out of that.
You mentioned the EDC, of course. It's cliche phrase to say there's nowhere to hide when you look at any team in the EDC, but I'd honestly put the EDC and even the WDA on the western side of the state up against any state hockey conference for high school boys, and for you guys to be in that conversation in the top 5, or to be in a conversation to maybe get to your first state tournament for the first time since 2021. How refreshing is it to know that your team can compete with those teams ahead of you?
You know, that was one of the things at the start of the season. You know, every team comes in with some goals and stuff at the start of the season, and you know, our goals at the beginning of the season were to get through the EDC tournament, make it to state. But one of the other goals is to compete every night. And that is something that again, you have to do in the EDC. You have to show up and you have to compete, because like you said, when you're playing Grand Forks Central, who beat War Road, you know, they're going over to Minnesota and they're playing the teams that are, you know, top of the state over there. Yeah, you do. You've got to compete every night, and if you don't and you have a bad period, it's not going to turn out well.
Coach, let's talk about some specifics on your season. I'm impressed by the fact that you're undefeated in games decided by 2 goals or less. You're 7-0 in that sense. So you're 9-4 overall, 5-4 in the East region. Your thoughts on specifically what those tight matchups and winning all those tight matchups says about your team?
Well, that's actually news to me. I was not aware of that, so that's a new stat for me today. But it's very important. You know, one example would be the Cheyenne game that we were in last week. Aiden Stern pulled out a buzzer beater, literally, and you know, we won by 1 goal. That's huge in the EDC when you're talking about standings and points. Instead of going to overtime and getting the 1 point plus, maybe if you get the overtime winner, you're talking 3 EDC points. And again, at the end of the year, when you start talking about EDC tournament, those are important points to win. So those close games do turn out to be very big when it comes to that final EDC standing.
And I think maybe what a couple of things that are most impressive to me is that of your top 8 scorers, 5 of them are sophomores. You would think maybe a resurgence of a program, maybe it's a bunch of seniors, even a bunch of juniors, but you got a bunch of sophomores that are really stepping into those leadership roles. Your comments on that?
Yeah, our sophomore class, we've known this for a couple of years that our sophomore class this year would be a special group. Again, their compete level is very, very high, but then also they've been playing with each other now for 4, 5, 6 years. They just read each other really well. They play off of each other really well. They can sense and they know what each other are going to do. They run their own little plays. They're talking on face-offs about what's going to happen and what they're going to try to do, and yeah, it's worked out really well. So. Yeah, Bryce Mattern, Brody Medina, starting up at the forward spot. Ian Scarry, I know he's got quite a few points for us too. And then the guys without the points back on the backside, Noah Becker at defense, and then also Jack Josephson at defense. They've been very, very solid back there and helped us out. Maybe not so much on the point side, but defensively. With our older guys too, our seniors and juniors, I put our defensive group as one of the top in the state. We're just solid back in the behind or on the blue line.
And obviously, when you look at all those sophomores making an impact, that means that your team has a good amount of depth on the bench, and you also have depth in the goalie spot. You've had 3 different goalies win at least 1 game this season. Your thoughts on having that luxury, if you want to call it?
Yeah, it's nice to have 3 options to go to, but it is kind of it's also a problem because you just don't know which way to go sometimes. Gavin Norton, our junior goaltender, he's seen most of the play, and then our senior goaltender Owen Holm and another junior Michael Jacobson. We've got them in a couple different games, and it's actually been nice. We've had a couple sicknesses and a couple small little injuries where we've been able to work those guys around a little bit. So yeah, it is nice to have options.
Again, as I mentioned at the top of the interview, I believe this is your first year as the head coach of the West Fargo Packers. What have you learned most in this first season as a head coach?
It's busy. It's a busy season. It goes by quick. We always know that it goes by fast. The hockey season starts, early November, and you're done by mid-February, and you don't know where the time goes in between. But now, just kind of being in charge of all of the administrative duties and all of the other little things that go into it, every day goes by, and it's just kind of a blur. It's been a very quick season.
We mentioned a lot of things about your team and about the season. What are you hoping that your team develops, improves upon, gathers in time for the EDC tournament coming up?
Our biggest thing is we've got to come together as a team and put together 3 solid periods. Like I said earlier, our losses are to the top 4 teams in the EDC, and each one of those losses came down to 1 bad period. We had a bad period against Davies, let in 4 goals last night. North was, 3-4 goals. All of those top teams, we have a bad period, and it's tough to come back from those. I will say our team is resilient. They try. They've never given up in either one of those games that we've lost. But it's just when you're playing a top 4 EDC team, a 3-goal or 4-goal deficit, it's just tough to come back from. So going forward, we got to put together 3 strong periods and finish games. And yeah.
Jason, anything else you want to mention here on the Your Live Event Coaches Show?
Well, again, thanks for having me on. It's like I said, it's been a good year so far. Our goal of getting through the EDC tournament and getting to states, that's where we're shooting for. Yeah, that's all I got.
Head coach Jason Triplett joining us on the Your Live Event Coaches Show here today. Jason, again, impressed by your contributions to the program and look forward to seeing what the West Fargo boys hockey team does coming up in the EDC tournament. And who knows, maybe even landed a state tournament spot as well. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Welcome to the Your Live Event Coaches Show and our senior spotlight, senior athlete spotlights. Joining me this week is Cameron Spaeth, a senior at Ada-Borup-West High School. Cameron, thanks so much for being with us. It's exciting times right now. You're in the middle of the basketball season. Let's talk about that right away and jump into that, how it's gone here. I know you're just anxious to get back after the break.
Yes, it's been, we actually just talked about it in practice yesterday. It's been 18 days since we've had a game. Right, we went into the Christmas break 7-0. I think right now we're either 3 or 4 ranked in the state, under some really, really good teams. I think some real competitors that are looking to stay top dogs for sure. We got a game tonight, Hillsborough Central Valley. I'm really proud of the guys. I mean, last year I think we saw some things that we definitely should have fixed early on in the year, and I think we kind of got complacent after Christmas break, and I think we kind of fell apart. But we got same returning guys and same want and feel almost the need to push to make a good run in playoffs and potentially a state run. I think we are very, very capable of it. I think the system that we have right now is working absolutely amazing. And again, I mean, we're getting better every single day. I don't think there's been a day where we've kind of, again, taken a day off or been complacent. I'm just really proud of the guys and what we've been doing so far this year. So, yeah.
You talk about your teammates there, and I'm curious, do you have a number of how much basketball you guys have played or played together? Because you've all been together for a long time.
God, if we were to count, I mean, a lot of us have played together or against each other. I mean, I think first year ever playing organized basketball was Snowflake League, 3rd grade. And we played Ada a number of times back when we were West. And, McCraven being our head coach, I mean, he's been my T-ball coach since I was 3 years old. So, I mean, he's known me forever now. And, came over 7th grade year. We were Ada-Borup-West and got to be really, really close with all these Ada guys who, we had rivalries or whatever you want to call it. And we've just formed great friendships, and, the camaraderie and the family feeling that we got right now is, it's something different. I don't think a lot of schools or many people, I would say, have what we got over here. And it's a really good thing, I think.
We talked about that more when the co-op first started, of the West guys, the Ada-Borup guys, those rivalries. Is there still some of that there from growing up playing against those guys?
We always talk about, so when McCraven was our baseball coach, Little League, we always talk about how we always would beat Ada in baseball. Every single time we beat Ada in baseball. And we always talk about how we were McCraven's best baseball team or whatever. And we always talk about the 9-1 championship game that we'd win. And they would always bring up football, but we were like, nah, we split that. Like, we were both 4-4 against each other, blah, 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 blah. And then basketball, we were just, we couldn't even keep track because we played each other about every single tournament, I think. We always have those conversations, and it's always fun to look back on because you always got to exchange, or like you'd always got to talk about like, oh, I felt this way about you, or like, oh, I was so scared of you back in the day. And now, I mean, you look at it, we've come such a long way. And like I said, it's just an amazing thing that we've got going here, and, great people. And I think everybody has kind of really put those rivalries and the what you could call enviness or that type of thing past one another, and we've really come together. And again, it's just a great thing that we have over here.
One other thing I want to talk with you about here before we get to some broader topics. You mentioned coming out of the Christmas break undefeated. It parallels when you were in 8th grade and you got moved up to the varsity with that team being undefeated, that lost to Henning. You came up after that. What did you learn about that experience of how those guys went through that and you saw that, so that you can now help the rest of your teammates saying, I've seen this?
That is one. that was one of the funnest years of basketball I think I ever had. And I mean, I have conversations with my brother Carlos, and I get a little emotional about it because that was like his last year that was his senior year, was my 8th grade year. And being able to play with him and his classmates and the people that always were at my house on the weekends, playing on the Xbox, or, we were playing football outside or football in the winter, basketball in the driveway, lightning, just the meaning of commitment, the meaning of sticking together through thick and thin, really taking time to understand one another and spend time outside the sport itself. Those guys, they would always have breakfast, like if we had a weekend game or if we had any type of like elementary tournament, those guys were always getting together and making sure that everybody was doing something together. Whether that was, again, a dinner or that was everybody's participating at these weekend tournaments, whether that's doing score clock or reffing or doing concessions or just going and supporting the younger kids, because those younger kids really do appreciate that. I mean, just the respect that all those guys had for one another and just how well they played together because of the respect they had for one another. That was one thing that I think was really good for me 8th grade year to see. I'm still maturing and still growing as a basketball player. And that is one thing I will never forget. And again, like I said before, the commitment and that type of thing, I really think that, kids on our team obviously have their favorite sports and they have their go-tos, whether their favorite sport would be baseball or track or something. And it's just that senior class, my 8th grade year, they knew that they had a spring sport. They knew that they had other things going on, but again, they knew what season they were in and they committed themselves to it. They had a goal and they saw it, and they saw it out there and they went for it. And unfortunately, COVID hit that year and we weren't able to, do what everybody was expecting us to do, which was make a state run for the 2nd year in a row. That was a hard one. And I think we really do have the same narrative, the same goal this year is to make that run, make that deep run into the playoffs and do what I think people know we're capable of doing. And just culture. Being in that 8th grade, it was a culture, it was a family. And I guess what I'm trying to do is make sure everybody's on the same page, making sure everybody's together in this and everybody's on the same page. So, yeah.
I like that culture, speaking to get everyone on the same page like that. And who else on the team helps drive that?
I would say Lance Kritzberger, Austin McCraven. Those guys in specific. I mean, Austin's obviously Nate's son. So, he's been around this a little more than most people. Obviously heard conversations between coaches, whether that be football or baseball or basketball. And, he's in that household and the coaches will go over to McCraven's and have conversations. So, he's obviously been a part of that and has a little coach's point of view, a little insight on that. And, definitely he feels a certain way about it. And, Lance, he's got some older siblings that have come through here. I mean, his sister Cora was part of a very successful Ada-Borup-West girls or Ada-Borup girls team. I mean, he's been around that environment, that the big time situations, those environments, those types of things. And we really feel as though we kind of let down ourselves and our past coach Stu with how last season turned out. And we had a conversation in the summer when we were in Duluth and we were playing some good basketball. I think we played North Tartan, Esco, Duluth, Denfield, and some other team. But again, like 3A, 4A schools, and we beat them all and we won that tournament. And we all sat down in the little gathering area and we were like, well, what do we want to do this year? What did we do? What did we not do last year that we need to start doing this year? And again, it was Austin, I and Lance. We brought up the conversation and we really had a good conversation with the whole team about it and what our expectations were for everybody. And again, I mean, those guys have always had my back, whether it's we think we need extra conditioning or we think we need to get more shots up after practice and guys need to stay after, or just making sure everybody's making smart decisions over the weekend, whether that's, not going to a party or, you know what I mean, or falling into that peer pressure, removing yourself from those situations and deciding to spend time with people that are better for you and give you a better little outlet outside of school and sports. Just making sure everybody's got their head on straight. And I think us three in specific have done a really good job of it with that this year.
That's fantastic to hear. Certainly hope everything goes well for the basketball season. High expectations. Wish you the best in achieving those. Let's talk quickly here a little bit more just about Cameron. When we talk senior athlete, standout football career in the middle of basketball, you've done baseball, you've done track and field. What's been the greatest enjoyment as part of your athletic career?
I would say everything. I'm really proud of the way that I have kind of put myself out there and, done everything to the best of my ability. And I mean, football is done and, almost don't wish it away, but almost at the end of my little high school career, my little top dog spot. So, I mean, I've had a lot of highlights athletically, being a part of this program. I really don't think I could pick one. Again, like I said, I'm really proud of the work that I put in and the time that I spent trying to get better to make other people around me better and help this program be the best that it could possibly be.
Kind of the way you answer that makes me think there's a question that either everyone has asked you or no one has asked you, and that's, has it hit you that it's your senior year?
I think after that football game in the Fargo Dome, it really hit. I don't think I've been that emotional in a really long time. And it was it kind of dawned on me like, it's it. Like, it's the last time I'm wearing a Cougar football jersey. That's the last time I'm putting on that Cougar helmet and running out onto that field as a athlete of Ada-Borup-West, and playing for that team. And I've started to tell those younger kids, I mean, and it's really cliche, it's really, really original. The whole make the most of it. Don't take it for granted. Like I was telling them, I mean, I was always able to, I mean, I've been in program 5 seasons, it was for football, 8th grade. 5 seasons, and every single year I was able to say, oh, I got one more year, or I got a couple more years, or I'm not done yet. And I think it was a little wake-up call when I finally was like, oh, this is my last, this is it. And that's why I'm just trying to make the most of what I got left here. Again, we're clearly just beginning basketball, and we got high expectations for that, and our baseball team is excited for that as well. We just got high expectations, and you got to take it a day at a time and game by game, and just got to make the most of it and make the memories, because I mean, those memories will last forever, and high school doesn't. But yeah.
For yourself, additional activities inside or outside of school here that you're involved with, that tell us some more about Cameron.
Spending time with family and friends. I guess, gosh. I've kind of just been, I think I've been a little more to myself this year. I was always kind of oh, what is everybody up to? Oh, let's go, let's go all hang out at someone's house, whatever. And I mean, this has kind of been my year where I've kind of just decided like, oh, I'm just going to go home, get some homework done, play some video games or whatever, and go to bed. Wake up in the morning at a decent time, and just have a routine, really. Reason being is I'm kind of trying to prepare myself for the future, those types of things. And when you get to be an adult, you know, you got to have a routine, you have to have a plan, and you gotta start disciplining yourself a little bit more. You can't have your parents waking you up and that type of thing for school and that type of stuff. So, you know, I guess I hunt, I fish, sports. I'll just go by myself and either weightlift or, you know, I'll just go shoot some hoops or go to what they call the landmark now, the old Halstead High School. We have a fob there, so, you know, I get shots up and kind of reminisce about growing up there and looking up at that banner on that last team. Yeah, I mean, just spending time with brother. I mean, I have 3 little siblings, Clara, Scarlett, and Brooks. Clara's in the 2nd grade, I want to say. She just turned 9 on Christmas Eve. Scarlett, she's 6 years old, and then Brooks, he's 3. And so, you know, I have those little ones that I'm always kind of looking out for and checking in on and kind of hanging out with and having fun with. So, I mean, I've been kind of staying busy in a little different way, but I've been staying busy.
Well, I know my answer to this question, but what do you like better, being the older brother or the younger brother?
Definitely the older brother. It's been a long time coming. 2 brothers that are 4 years older than me. Bailey graduating the year before Carlos did. And then, you know, it's been how many years since I've just been the oldest, but, you know, I'm starting to, I mean, again, Claire and I are 9 years apart, and then, you know, it just goes down the line. So, I mean, it's a little different dynamic between, you know, a sister and a brother, and then also just that age gap. But I can see where their frustrations were with me, Bailey and Carlos's. Then I can see how I was kind of a handful because Scarlett, as my mother says, is a lot like me. She's very unique in her own way, and she knows it. And then Brooks, you know, he is my mini me. He's really energetic, really aggressive. You know, he's one of those kids where you have to kind of tell him more than once to, you know, hey, settle down a little bit. We're okay. But no, I really enjoy those 3, and, you know, I think they've really brought the best out in me as a person, not just a big brother or a younger brother. They've kind of taught me to appreciate my older siblings, all the arguments or the fights, you know, back in the day. You know, I've kind of been really more thankful towards my older siblings due to, you know, being in their position now and seeing what it was like to deal with me kind of back in the day. So, yeah, I would say for sure it's I like being the older sibling for sure.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that one. So, a little bit ago you mentioned the future, and I know you've been having and you're continuing to have conversations, but any glimpses as to what you're looking at?
So as of right now, I have no offers or any notices at all for basketball. So right now I've been talking to quite a bit of schools about football and plans for the future, and most serious conversations that I've had are Mankato, MSUM, Jamestown, and Mayville. And Mayville was more recent than the last 3. I started talking to those 3. Well, MSUM and Jamestown were this summer, and then I went on some visits during the football season. And then Mankato kind of came into contact with me mid-season. They kind of watched some film on me and kind of said how I like fit the dynamic of what they have going on over there. And so I've kind of been in touch with them. And then Mayville, I have went on a visit, been offered, went on an official visit, whatever, got to see the entire organization, the whole locker room, everything, the whole campus. And then they kind of tailed it to career I'm going into. And my plan, what I would like to do is be a teacher. I want to go into physical education and health. And if not that, I have thought into architecture and being either DNR law enforcement. So, I mean, it's kind of, and I've always kind of leaned towards being a teacher, but I think the more I learn about and the more I kind of look into, like being an architect or being any type of construction, that type of thing, landscaping, anything like that, I get a little more interested in it every single time. So yeah, I have not really, I've narrowed down again those are kind of my 4 colleges that I'm really narrowing my decisions down, and it all comes down to, what's going to cost me more, what's going to benefit me more in the future with playing a sport in the next level, and then also just what is best suiting the career that I'm deciding to go into. And as of right now, those 4 have been my top ones to assist me and helping me get to where I want to be.
And solid directions to look at, and whichever way you head, certainly wish the best to you. Before we let you go here, just what's one final thing that you want people to know about Cameron Spaeth?
It's a good question, Jake.
I have those once in a while.
Gosh. You've asked me a lot over these years.
Well, it's been 5.
It really has. Oh, gosh. I think every single day I'm going to try to improve. Whether that's showing a younger kid what could be, or, saying hi to those little kids that are screaming my name in the lunchroom when I'm walking to get my lunch, and those little kids are like, Cameron, Cameron. Leading by example. I think I always try to be the best example, the best role model that I can be. Helping people makes me feel really good, and makes me feel like a better person. It makes me a better person, I feel. Just a really caring person. I care about a lot of people, and I always like to check in on several people, just to make sure they're doing all right. And what I've been told is I'm very good with words, and being able to, I'm very self-aware, and very very good with my words, whether that's words of encouragement, hard times, and just someone needs that little bit of joy in their life, I'm kind of always there. But yeah, I guess I always just try to, I like to impact people in a very positive way, and I like to let people, I like it when people can hear my name and think like, oh, that's a good person, that's a person that I want to be, or like those little kids, like I want to be like him when I'm in high school, and that's kind of my goal.
Very positive thing to have, and to let people know about Cameron Spaeth, senior at Ada-Borup-West. Always fun to talk with you. I know there'll be some other ones where you see me before or after a game that we'll have some other conversations, but I'm looking forward to those too. It was great to talk to you again here today, and wish you the best luck with the rest of the senior year and beyond.
Thank you very much, Jake. You have a great day.
Hey, welcome to the Your Live Event Coaches Show. And boy, it's different for me on this side, interviewing another fellow broadcaster, Chase Miller, and honored to do so. Chase, recently being announced and hearing the news of the North Dakota Sportscasters of the Year award winners, along with Nick Hallberg from the PSP Network. We congratulate Nick as well. He does a great job for the PSP Network. And Chase Miller, of course, our very own from Your Live Event, doing a fantastic job and work and all of your involvement. I should make mention too, Chase, the North Dakota Sportscasters of the Year award winners, as I mentioned, both you and Nick, but as voted by member peers in the North Dakota Associated Press Sportscasters and Sports Writers Association. So always an honor, I know, to receive an award, and especially when it comes from the peers. Your thoughts as you receive the word that you were an award winner here.
Yeah, I think the first thing is, Jim, you just kind of think about the people that you've worked with, obviously, during the past, whether you was in college all the way up through, you kind of learn stuff from, other folks and other people in your previous stops, whether it was in college or other business opportunities, and working, with Your Live Event for 2.5 years already. The partnership that we've been able to make with our local athletic directors, schools, coaches, players who have allowed us to come in their communities and, kind of tell their stories along the way. As much as it's my award, it's kind of that old, if you win a coach's, award, you hear the coaches say, well, there's a lot of other people involved that allow you to be nominated. And I think it's the same thing with this award. It's an honor to be voted on by your peers, number one. That's always a cool extra bonus, I think, to it at the end of the day. But again, without the AD setting up interviews for us when we do state preview shows, as an example, on your live event, or when we can go cover someone's 1,000th career point, we get them up for, a post-game interview or talk to coaches. They make, 5-10 minutes out of their time when they're running around with their head cut off sometimes when, they're getting into a gym late because icy road conditions or something in between. They're like, yep, we'll make time for you, Chase. Just let me know when you want it. So, all that stuff kind of culminates in all the things behind the scenes that we do with a bunch of production and commercials and just everything else. It's a true honor to be nominated. But again, it's a lot of other people that have helped, to get myself and Nick to this point.
For yourself, Chase, you talk about 2.5 years with your live event powered by Halstead Telephone Company, R&J Broadcasting Incorporated. Your career goes, back earlier than that, calendar wise. Do you care to share anything about your career or just some of that background?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I noticed when I was in high school, everyone asks you, what you're going to do next, right? What's your next endeavor once you go to college? And I knew I wanted to do sports. Didn't want to do feet. Didn't want to do athletic training, right? I didn't want to deal with that. But I knew it was either
you were hoping to play in the NBA, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. My 5'10" stature, it could be white chocolate in the NBA like Bibby was. But I knew it was something with coaching or play-by-play, just didn't know what it was. So I went to MSUM, got a coaching minor, got a major in mass comm with a broadcast emphasis. And then once I kind of got into broadcast, I got fortunate. Denise Scoresline was starting up a program of kind of job shadows internship program. Like you could work with someone that's in your field, get more, flexibility. So I met with Amy Eiler at a coffee shop in Fargo. And she at the time was the producer of News and Views with Joel Heitkamp. And after about a half hour, she's like, you don't want an internship. You want a job, right? Like, I think you're good enough to get a job. So I was like, sure, why not? So my very first job was working at 740 The Fan, KVOX AM at the time before it's now KNFL. And I was a button board for Westwood One triple header on Sunday. I get there at 11:30 in the morning. I leave there at 11 o'clock at night. And when it was the local time to, hit an ad, you pot it up, and then you're done and you pot them up. That was my first job. And then started doing, high school games or force games. At the time they had NDSU. So it was really kind of full circle because the year prior to that, I was listening to Scott Miller call a game on The Fan when Ben Woodside is, hitting 50 free throws down in Drake, and, Jack Michaels is working there doing some odd and end stuff with basketball and football. So those two guys I listened to a ton of, and all of a sudden now I had a chance to work with them. So it became full circle really quickly, and able to go to Valley City for a year, be the voice of the Highliners, and VCSU come back to The Fan and KFGO. So it just, right place, right time. But, I think the old adage is if you do the work, hopefully it gets rewarded in some capacity. I think that's kind of, been my, I would say, Jim, decade plus a little bit, just, hopefully you do the right work, you treat people the right way, and hopefully it, comes back, reciprocates on you or the people that you're working with.
Chase, I'm saying this with a smile on my face. So when you were that first time, job of that board op, I mean, that was a big time gig. And I mean, how nervous were you to press those buttons for that first time as that board op? Big time stuff, right? You look back on it now and we can laugh. So.
I didn't want to crack the mic for a 10-second ID, and that was my only chance to crack the mic. Going back at it, I should have been excited, but I was shaking, going, I don't want to mess it up with KVOX and say the wrong call letters or say the wrong time or temperature. So no, it's like anything else. Everyone, comes in and says, geez, that microphone just must scare you. And it 100% it did the first couple of times you put your mic in there and your face. But once you crack the mic more and more, you don't even realize it, like any other profession or job that you're doing. But yeah, Jim, I was pretty nervous the first couple of times not to screw some stuff up and make sure we got them on the air, not just, in the studio, or making sure certain odd and ends for pregame or postgame are done the right way. You have to follow a format, when you're talking college athletics. If you do not hit, the local break and you accidentally miss the network tone, there's just a lot of little odd and end things that you didn't want to screw up as a board op.
I know that the relationships you have with activities directors and school administration, coaches, athletes, fellow broadcasters, I know that's very important to you. And, from the standpoint of, do you ever think about, as you talked about, that nervousness to crack the mic, how much do you admire, respect these young athletes that are ages, whatever they might be, they get a microphone literally handed to them and say, all right, give us, 30 seconds and we're going to be on. They don't know what we're going to ask them, and they just handle it so well. I don't know about you, but I truly admire that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like anybody else, the first time you ask someone questions and they've never been interviewed, it's your job and my job to not ask them a yes/no question, right? Because they don't know any better. Jim, do you like pizza? Yes, and they don't elaborate on it. So for me, it's to ask them, how are you doing, or how did the game go? And then you kind of hear about them. I've noticed kids like to talk about kids. They like to talk about their teammates. And if you can ask, Billy, how did Bob do? Or Sandy, how did Jess do? It opens them up. Sometimes if you have enough time, depending on the situation, you might have a kid go, I've never been interviewed before. Do you know what you're going to ask me? It's like, yes, I'll give you 2 or 3 questions right now. We got enough time, before we come back. But sometimes, you're going in between a triple header of a state tournament or games, and you don't really have a lot of time to finish your post game to get to your next pregame. So you're coming in and you're like, all right, Hayden, here's the 2 questions, or Jim, here's what we're talking about. So I give them a kudos, because there's no way the answers that they give, I would not sound that eloquent, obviously, at 16, 15 years old, Jim.
What do you enjoy of the broadcast? And I'm just asking these questions because I think our viewers and listeners, they like to get to know the broadcaster per se. And here's an opportunity as we congratulate you on receiving the award as Sportscaster of the Year, along with Nick Hallberg. But Chase Miller from Your Live Event, what do you enjoy about the broadcast?
I think the one thing that I've come to notice a little bit is every game tells a different story. And sometimes you might go to a game and it might be 2 teams that just, for lack of a better term, aren't having a really good year, right? Whether it's football, volleyball, basketball, maybe it just is a rebuilding year. Maybe they had to deal with some injuries, whatever it might be. They're not having their greatest season, but you get there and all of a sudden you start talking to the coaches and they say, hey, she's, 5 kills away from 1,000, or he's 5 rebounds away from breaking a school record. So when you go there, and you get to see the record happen, you're narrating a piece of history for someone that, their grandparents, their parents, they themselves can go back, watch, listen to. And when you hear someone that says, why do you want to talk to me? I'm like, you're the one who broke the record. Why wouldn't we want to, talk to you? So those stories that are really cool. Don't get me wrong. When number 1 versus number 2 plays in the state and it's as advertised, that's awesome with the environment. But sometimes, those stories or those towns or those teams that don't get covered all the time, Jim, or those programs that maybe have a rebuild year and 2 years later down the road, you saw those freshmen and sophomores kind of struggle. And all of a sudden now they get, paid off as juniors and seniors. Those are the stories that, I really, truly enjoy. Is you never know what you're going to happen. And every time I go to a game, I try to ask a coach, anybody close to a record? Because if they are, win or lose, I want to talk to, that particular coach. If it's a career milestone, player, if it's a career milestone, to get them on to kind of tell their story a little bit.
Hey, so I know that you have a passion for this industry / this business. You enjoy what you do. You're very good at it. Likewise, you know that myself as the guy now asking you the questions in this conversation today, that I'm very passionate about this industry and this business, and I enjoy it. I think when you talk about those, those games and the number 1 versus number 2 and the records and the storyline behind it, how much do you also take the approach, the professionalism? Because there's always listeners, there's always viewers, regardless of the matchup, the communities, the athletes, the score, and recognize that it doesn't matter if it's a lopsided score, because there's people that still care and they want that story told to them. Does that make sense?
They're perfect example.
I did a game the other night, and that was absolutely, it was over in the first seconds, literally. But the audience was still there through the night, and it's the job to engage with them, keep them informed, entertain them, that sort of thing. It's a different mindset as a broadcaster as well, but there's always people that care about that broadcast, those athletes, those communities, whomever is involved.
Well, and just the other night, we did a game where, you might get a senior or you might get someone who doesn't get a lot of varsity playing time because either, it's just not their year. They got to wait a year. Or as a senior, they just said, you know what, I'm going to honor my role. I know I might not play a lot, but I'm going to get an opportunity whenever that happens, right? And just the other day, there was a guy who made a free throw. And in the post game, it was the biggest cheer of the entire game. The game was a little bit out of hand. It was the biggest cheer that, first points of the season. And he comes in the locker room and they douse him with water, because so those stories are just as cool as a buzzer beater. I remember Thompson last year talking with Brandt George. There was a senior that came out that didn't play, the past couple of years, and kind of asked Brandt, like, do you mind if I come out? And Brandt was frank with him, going, I'm just going to be honest, you're probably not going to get a ton of playing time, but if you want to have an opportunity to be with the team, make those memories and work your tail off, by all means. And talking to Coach Brandt George at the end of their fifth place game at state, this past March, he was kind of in tears a little bit, saying that's what high school athletics is. You have a senior who barely maybe played more than 5 minutes all year, but he wanted to make the memories, ride the bus, go to practice. He got better every week. It wasn't like he just was there just to, own a uniform, Jim. So those stories, as much as the buzzer beaters or the classic 1 versus 2, those are just as good, if not better, from a human, point of view, how you can use that in sports, but also just in daily life.
Chase Miller, as we're getting close to wrapping up, you've used the words, I've used the words, stories. You use the word to crack the mic, open mic. I might be getting myself in trouble here, but I'm going to kind of open mic it back to you. And are there any quick short stories or open mic, somewhat final comments and thoughts that you have?
There's a ton. One that I kind of remember was covering NDSU football down in Frisco. James Hendricks had the pick to seal it against JMU, but also had the fake field goal that got him the touchdown, and the sun's coming out after it was a cloudy day. And I'm like, James, we're literally talking as the sun is shining on you one more time as a senior. And he's just like, you just can't make it up, can you? It was a cloudy day the entire time. He had those 2 particular plays. And those moments, I think, whether it's in college and high school or anything, when you can talk to players and coaches immediately after the game and get their true emotion recorded, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's something that you're able to write about, on the press, so to speak, a Jim, half hour to a day later, and people can go back. Those are the best stories in sports. That's the best sound, in my opinion, in sports. When someone wins a championship or breaks a record and you can give them up and, it's still new to them that they've accomplished something, as a team, or accomplished something as a particular moment. I think that was something that kind of stood out to me. Able to cover Zion Williamson when NDSU went out to South Carolina and played Duke. And, my cohort, Mike Krzyzewski, kind of gave him a hard time, going, you're not from around here. You got a little Norwegian accent in you, and he got that on the press clippings the next day. So there's a bunch of stories like that, obviously, sharing stories, whether it's with broadcasters that are new, broadcasters that you've seen, 10 times before. But yeah, there's too many to name here, Jim. We could be on for a couple hours if we went down that road.
We might make it a few days knowing you and I together, but hey, it's great. It's been a real privilege to be able to have a chat with you. I guess that's being recorded, you've told me. So we're on this, your live event coaches show. You and I have a lot of chats, conversations that are always great and wonderful. And just in closing, anything else that you want to say or add here as I just honor you as a Sportscaster of the Year?
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of deflect again, and just thanks to all the coaches, thanks to all the ADs, thanks to those who I've worked with in the past who maybe are retired or maybe took a different profession to where they are now. If I ever butcher a name wrong, by all means, tell me. I always want people to come up to me and let me know. Sometimes you just get it in your head. It's Mathern, but it's Maddern. or Machenbaker one county line, it's Machenbacher the next county line. So, always try to get those stuff, and I'll take the criticism as youthful as you can give it, or as nice as you can get it. But no, there's too many people to really thank. I mean, with Mark Forsyth and his group, obviously with Halstead, with what they do, behind the scenes for us at your live event, obviously Jim with your company, with R&J Broadcasting, and the amount of announcers, that we have. A lot of people will say, you guys got 9-10 games on tonight. How do you do it? And they're just floored, and the amount of opportunities that, you're providing local athletes to, get on screen, get interviewed, have opportunities to tell their story. So there's too many people to thank, really, Jim, at the short time. And thanks to my mom and dad, I guess would be the last one, because back when I was a little kid, my dad would mute the television and go, "Welcome to CHASE radio. Chase, take it away." So apparently, I guess, Jim, that actually paid off here. Long story short, both from a career standpoint and earning this award. So thanks to my parents, last one too.
Absolutely. That's great. Mom's always right and dad knows best, huh?
Yep. 100%.
Very good. Chase Miller, North Dakota Sportscaster of the Year award winner. Congratulations again. Pleased and great that you're with the Your Live event team. So thank you so much, and congrats. You take care.
Thanks, Jim. That does it for this week's YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Make sure you join us every Wednesday night starting at 7 o'clock. And if you missed any of our shows prior, go to our website, YourLiveEvent.com, or our YouTube page by searching Your Live Event to check out previous shows of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Enjoy the rest of your night.